Hey, I'm making my way to the park right now before it gets too dark. Because out here in Denver, we do have a shelter-in-place order, which, um, as far as I can tell, I guess that means because some people are required to be quarantined, which means they're just they're literally locked in their homes practically. But such isn't the case out here because I see people jogging and walking their dogs all the time, and the only thing that they're enforcing now is the whole thing about social distancing, which makes perfect sense because it was about a week ago that I had seen I'd seen kids on the playground and some guys playing basketball, and because this virus, this pandemic is respiratory. It defeats the whole purpose of closing down gyms and restaurants and all this other stuff if you're gonna have people gathering gathering to play basketball. So it's kind of a risk that I'm taking, but like I said, as long as the sun's up, I've been seeing people out and about, exercising, doing whatnot, walking their dogs and whatnot. So I'm gonna look at the park order to see what what's the actual time that they close or that the park closes. But in this video, I want to talk about a story that happened just a little bit um, before this pandemic had taken, it even popped off. So it must have been just a little bit before the new year. And it basically pertains to what I had been searching for, and that being, additional streams of passive income. Because, I have this one job which fortunately is essential. So that means I haven't been furloughed, I'm not asked out of employment as yet anyway. So that's it's very fortunate on my part to, I consider myself blessed that, I'm working for a company that is indeed essential, because if we go down, stores go down, the economy really goes down. You think it's bad now. Wait until God forbid they shut us down and shut the trucks down. Like if the trucks stop moving, we stop moving, then the stores stop moving, and then we really are in what I understand as an SHTF situation, i.e. economic collapse. Which is funny that I say that, because even though the shelves are still kind of sort of, iffy, shit's been replenished. I mean, the fact that I bought some toilet paper, lets me know that, they're not really ready for this shutdown yet. I mean, the real shutdown. But it was definitely a wake-up call. It was for me, as far as, getting my shit ready, getting my guns, getting my food. And once this thing blows over, which I'm sure it will, I'm pretty sure it will, and things will go back to normal, and people will go back to being the dumb sheeple that they are. I, on the other hand, will be using the resources that have been bestowed upon me since I've been in Denver County to basically get my shit, what I just aforementioned. But anyway, something that happened long before this coronavirus, and I want to say it happened just before the new year, because I don't remember exactly how long ago it was, but it must have been. It either happened in January or it happened in December. So, as many of you know, I'm a polyglot. I've said this many a times. I graduated from the U of M with in 3 different languages, and come to find out that foreign languages aren't really a thing in demand. So I've decided to, upon realizing that, I decided to just do basically what there was. There was something that happened. There were some journalists who lost their jobs for some or whatever reason. It happened a little while back, and I don't even think they were fired as much as they were just furloughed, because whatever company they were working for just had no use for them, and apparently one of their bosses had told them learn how to code or learn coding. So it seems that's kind of my situation, where I'm going from learning foreign languages, by which I've learned many outside of my fields of expertise, to something a little more practical on this earth, like coding, like engineering. But in the meanwhile, I've been looking up, potential streams of passive income, and one of those streams of passive income that I looked into was freelance translating. Now, I've known about freelance translating for quite some time, just like freelance programming, freelance writing. But, being bereft of a computer, back in Memphis, back in my former home, I really didn't have much of a means of gaining access to that. So now that I do, now that I have had access to that, and I've had it for some time, I went on this one freelance translator website called pros.com. That's spelled P-R-O-Z, not S. I put up a little bullshit profile. Meaning, and by bullshit, I mean, I falsified anything. I just, I didn't really go into detail as far as my credentials. And, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't go that far, because just like with everything else, competition is staunch, competition is fierce. On that website, they want all kinds of native level speakers, and just some extra shit. And for me, foreign languages has always been something that I did for fun. They always say, if you work in a profession that you like, or if you actually, do something that you like, you never have to work a day in your life. So all this extra shit that comes with, as far as these goofball requirements that come with, foreign language learning, that shit, to me, it's redundant. So needless to say, I didn't really, and because I'm such a newcomer, I'm basically a new kid on the block, I haven't gotten too many takers based on my profile. Let's see what this. Okay, so it says, um, to engage in outdoor activity, parks remain open for walking, hiking, biking, running, and similar activities with social distancing requirements, 6 feet, and park hours 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., curfew enforced. So that's what we're limited to. So according to um, that municipal order, I actually can stay as long as 11 o'clock, but again, I'm not going to push it because, we get caught out here and we don't have our blouse shine. It's fun. Jesus Christ. That's pretty fucked up because it kind of reminds me of, for those of you who've ever watched Schindler's List, Jews had to carry these papers called a certain paper called a Blauschein, which literally means blue shine in German, which basically permitted them to, be out and about. And of course, they had to wear the Star of David, so that, they can be out in German society, so that, the Gestapo wouldn't, nab their ass and throw them in Auschwitz somewhere. So that's pretty much what I have now. Like, my job basically gave me a badge, basically a Blauschein, which, states that I'm an essential worker. Should I be nabbed by the police, which hasn't happened yet, but, nothing else, I'll be ready because, I have my papers. But anyway, needless to say, with me being a newcomer on the block with this, with this potential stream of income, passive income, and this website that I've been messing with for a little bit, I didn't catch too many clients, or really none at all, except one. I did catch one, and it was this lady out in Florida who was, I guess not necessarily the principal of this private school, but she was almost like a director of some private school down in some city in Florida. I want to say Miami Heights, somewhere, wherever the hell if I know, hell if I care. But so she hits me up, via email, of course, and she tells me, I have this 40-something page document that, I need you to translate for me from English to Spanish. So I give her a set price, and, I actually charge twice as much as I should have, with me being a newcomer and all. And it wasn't out of greed that I did this. I did this because I thought that it was the standard, the standard rate. Because again, I'm very new to the world of freelance translating, or should I say was. So I charged, in my blind ignorance, I charged 12 cents per word. And, I tallied up the document because I have this, I have this app, well, I wouldn't say an app, but something on my computer that, can take certain documents and it can total up the amount of words. And hers, this document got up to about anywhere from 15 to 16,000 words, and I tallied that up, and I said, so it was approximately, give or take, about $1,400. So I told her that's my price, and she was perfectly fine with that. And trip this, here's the kicker. When I told her that, she gets back with me about it you know, literally like no less than a day later, and she tells me, okay, that's perfectly fine. In fact, just for good measure and good faith, we'll we'll supply you. We'll supply. We'll pay you an additional $2,000. So what? So we're gonna give you twice, damn near twice what you asked for. Well, actually, more than twice what you asked for, because twice would have been 3,400. But I ended up getting a check for pretty much damn near. It was just a few. It was just a few dollars shy of $4,000 to translate this document. And so she tells me, "Oh, just make out your be sure to make out your address. Give me your address." So I do that, and next thing I know, I get a check in the mail. I get I get a FedEx packet in the mail. I open up the FedEx packet. It's a check with my name out on it, written out for 3,900 some dollars. Like I said, just a few dollars shy of $4,000. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty fast. And I told her, I was like, well, ma'am, don't you think I ought to do the work before you pay me? Because she's like, oh yeah, go ahead, cash the check. Don't worry about it. Just cash the check. It kind of reminds me, because a lot of foundational Black Americans have been talking about, there's been a term lately going on due to our need for reparations called "cut the check." That's pretty. That's pretty much what she did. She cut the check. But I was like, wait a minute now. I haven't even started on this thing, and I mean, I had been started on it, but I was probably about 5 pages in it. I may have been 5 pages in it where I was translating this document. It might have been 10 pages. It was anywhere from 5 to 10 pages. Or at least that's what I told her. I said I've already started on it, and I'm about 10 pages in. But she was like, no, that's fine. Just be sure to process it through your bank and confirm that you've received the cash. People, red flags are already going off. You see, this is one of the benefits of growing up in a city like Memphis, especially considering that Memphis ain't terribly far from Miami or wherever the hell in Miami, because it didn't say Miami, Florida, but it was like Miami Gardens, Miami Heights, whatever the hell they got down there. See, one of the benefits of growing up in a city like Memphis is you understand coming out, having the kind of experiences that someone like me has gone through, that a lot of motherfuckers are just shysty. A lot of people are just shysty. That's just how they get down. And the thing about this check is that it probably could have fooled even the most expert of bank tellers, especially if they're inexperienced, especially if they were newcomers. Thank God my bank tellers were veterans, because it could have and would have fooled someone like me, because this thing had a seal. The check actually had a seal. It looked just like a genuine check.